Chapter 4, The Walls We Build. The morning after Nate left, the silence was deafening. Lena sat at the edge of her childhood bed in the guest room, staring at the same floral wallpaper she used to count to fall asleep. The same corner where she once cried over high school heartbreaks, where she'd first dreamed of love as something sweeping and safe, now just felt quiet, not the peaceful kind, the abandoned kind. She checked her phone more times than she wanted to admit. Nothing from Nate. Not that she expected him to reach out, not after what she said, what she didn't say, what she let happen. The thing that kept ringing in her ears wasn't Cameron's voice, it was Nate's. You didn't push me away. You never let me close. God, he was right. She hadn't just kept him at arm's length. She built a wall, fortified it with sarcasm, wrapped it in cool indifference, and called it strength. And when he tried to climb over it, she punished him for daring to care. She hated that about herself. Even more, she hated how good he was at seeing through it. Her sister found her in the kitchen later that morning, still in her pajamas, staring blankly into a mug of cold coffee. Want to talk? Lena didn't answer right away. Then, finally, he left. Rachel didn't ask who. She just nodded. You care about him? I think I was starting to, Lena admitted, and then I made sure he'd never believe that. Rachel gave a small, knowing smile. You've always done that. Lena blinked. Done what? Kept people just close enough to feel something, but far enough to never be vulnerable. That's not fair. It's true, Rachel said, not unkindly. You don't let yourself need anyone, Lena. Not really. I can't afford to. Why not? Lena exhaled shakily. Because the second you admit you care, they have the power to leave. Rachel was quiet for a moment. Then she reached out, covered Lena's hand with her own. Loving someone doesn't make you weak. It makes you brave. And I think you're more afraid of being loved than being left. Lena swallowed hard, her eyes stinging. Rachel continued, softer now. Maybe it's time to stop protecting yourself from love and start letting it in. That evening, Lena packed a bag and drove back to the city. Not to the bar where they met, not to the scenes of half-truths and pretending. She went to Nate's apartment. It was in a low-rise walk-up on the edge of Alphabet City, unassuming, a little weathered, with ivy creeping up the side like it belonged there. She knocked twice. Her heart thundered. No answer. She waited, knocked again, this time softer, and just when she turned to leave, the door opened. Nate stood there, hair damp from a shower, barefoot in jeans and a faded t-shirt. He looked surprised, guarded, but not angry. Not yet. Hey, Lena said quietly. He didn't reply. I didn't come to fix what happened, she said. I came to tell you the truth. He stepped back slowly, leaving the door open. She followed him in. The apartment was small, but lived in. Books stacked in uneven piles, guitar leaning against the wall, a coffee mug still on the windowsill. Real. Like him. He sat on the edge of the couch. She stayed standing. I'm sorry, she said first. About what I said, about what I didn't say. You were right. I used you as a shield, but I wasn't trying to protect my pride. He looked at her then, quietly. I was trying to protect myself, she continued, because I've been through things I didn't want to go through again, and I thought if I kept you at a distance, I could control the outcome. But you can't, Nate said softly. She nodded. I know that now. A long pause. Then Nate gestured for her to sit. She did, on the arm of the chair, close but not crowding. He rubbed his hands together, exhaled slowly. I should have told you something too, he said. She waited. I was engaged, years ago. Lena's breath caught. Her name was Elise. We were young. We thought that was enough. I proposed at 25 because it seemed like what I was supposed to do. She said yes. We planned the wedding. My parents even flew in from Florida. He paused. His voice was rougher now. She left a note the morning of. Said she wasn't ready, that she loved me, but not enough, and I believed her. Lena's chest ached for him. After that, he went on, I stopped getting close to people, stopped trusting the way I used to. I built this version of myself, laid back, charming, casual, because it was safer. But then you came in with your sarcasm and your defenses and your spark, and I saw all of it, Lena, not just the front. He looked at her then, his voice lower. I think I started falling for you the moment you told me I'd regret saying yes. She blinked fast. And I think I started falling for you when you carried my aunt's folding chair without being asked. He laughed softly, eyes warm now. The tension loosened just enough to breathe. Lena took a step closer. I don't want to pretend anymore, she said. Not about the wedding, not about how I feel, and not about us. Nate was quiet. Then, you sure? She nodded, terrified, but sure. He stood close enough to touch. You know I'm not safe, he murmured. Not a sure bet, not a checklist. I'm not looking for a checklist anymore, she whispered. I'm looking for real. He brushed his fingers along her jaw. Then stay. I will, she said. This time, I won't run. That night, they didn't sleep together. They didn't need to. They sat up on the couch, legs tangled, hands entwined, talking about the things they'd buried too deep for too long: fears, failures, childhood dreams, the cost of pride. It wasn't dramatic, it was honest, and somehow that felt even more intimate than a kiss. Chapter 5: The Real Thing. Lena stepped into the ballroom alone. No one gasped, no one clutched their pearls, but she felt the weight of every gaze. The ceremony was over. The reception was in full swing. Champagne flutes clinking, a string quartet playing an upbeat version of a classic love song, guests dancing in soft pastels and designer heels. She smoothed her dress, ignored the knot in her stomach, and walked toward her family like she belonged. Because she did, even if they didn't always understand her. Her mother was near the center table, in conversation with 3 other women from her garden club, all smiles and polite condescension. When she saw Lena, the smile faltered. Where's Nate? Patricia asked casually, which meant, I thought you'd show up embarrassed and alone. Lena smiled. Not here, and not a mistake. Her mother blinked. I know what you think, Lena continued, calmly, that I'm impulsive, that I let emotion cloud my judgment, but for once, that's the point. I want to feel something. I'm tired of choosing what's easy over what's true. Lena, I'm not asking for permission, she said. I'm just done apologizing for not fitting into your version of what my life should look like. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't have to. It landed like a declaration. Rachel grinned from across the room. Patricia looked away first. Lena moved to the terrace for air. She needed the sky. Space. The string lights flickered above her, casting a warm golden hue over everything. She looked out over the lawn, quiet now. The chairs from the ceremony were stacked neatly in rows, kept the arch still draped in soft fabric and white blooms. A wedding had happened here, but her story was still being written. Then, from behind her, a familiar voice. Hell of a view. She turned. Nate. He stood there in a black suit, tie loose, his hands in his pockets and his heart in his eyes. Not the charming bartender, not the backup plan, just him. Lena blinked. What are you doing here? I wasn't going to come, he said. I figured I'd already said enough, or not enough. She took a step closer. And now? He smiled slightly. Now I just want to say the truth. The silence stretched between them, but it wasn't awkward. It was full. I like you, Lena, he said. Not the version you put on for your family, not the version you try to shrink down so no one sees how much you feel, just you. Her throat tightened. I've spent a long time pretending things didn't matter, he continued. But you do. You matter. And if you're still willing to take a chance, even if we fumble through it, I'm here. Lena felt tears sting the back of her eyes, but they didn't fall. She stepped forward slowly, like gravity pulled her there. No more pretending, she whispered. He shook his head. Not even a little. And then, finally, she kissed him. Not a dramatic, fireworks kind of kiss. A quiet one. Earned, steady. His hands came to her waist like he'd been waiting to do it for days. Her fingers slid into his hair, their bodies aligned, no tension, just belonging. The music from the reception faded, and all she could hear was the beat of her own heart, finally steady, finally brave. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. So, want to get out of here? He murmured. She laughed softly. God. Yes. Lena stirred the pot on the stove while Nate unpacked takeout containers behind her. The kitchen in their new apartment was small but cozy. Exposed brick, low lighting, too many plants she couldn't keep alive, but tried to anyway. Your sauce smells better than the pad thai I just brought home, he said, nudging her with his hip. That's because you overorder spring rolls and underorder flavor. He smirked. Rude. She turned, slid her arms around his neck. You love it. Yeah, he said simply. I do. There were no titles, no ultimatums. They still had their own spaces, their own lives. But they kept building something. Shared dinners, quiet mornings, late night honesty, messy joy. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And that made it everything. The end. Thank you for reading The Plus One Mistake. If you felt something real while reading Lena and Nate's story, if you smiled, winced, or saw yourself in the cracks and quiet moments, then this story did its job. Love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's built in the spaces between mistakes, in the honesty that follows heartbreak, and in the choice to stay, day after day. If you enjoyed this story and want more emotionally rich, slow burn romance with twists, tension, and heart, subscribe or follow for future stories. The next love story is already in the works, and you won't want to miss it.